The first bullet snapped past Lieutenant Hale's cheek, so fast he felt the heat of it. He dropped hard, sliding behind a jagged slab of shale, just as a second round smashed into the rock where his skull had been a heartbeat earlier, exploding it into a cloud of razor dust.
Contact! High ridge! Multiple angles!
Harlan roared. Gunfire erupted from 3 different ridgelines at once, not wild, not panicked, precise, coordinated, every burst hurting the SEAL team deeper into the canyon, forcing them toward a basin where the rock walls tightened and the cover vanished. Ortiz sprinted for higher ground, but an RPG detonated beside him, flipping him off his feet in a violent burst of fire and stone. Lewis dragged him behind a boulder, coughing blood and dust. "We're boxed in," Lewis yelled. "They're driving us." Hale scanned the ridges, flashes, silhouettes, shifting shadows. These weren't villagers with rifles. These were trained shooters, kill zone engineers, men who'd mapped this canyon long before the SEALs ever stepped into it. Another burst slashed the air inches above Hale's helmet, cutting branches clean in half. The canyon echoed with overlapping fire, each angle tightening around them like a closing fist. He tried the comms. Nothing. Dead, jammed. Someone wanted them isolated. "Lieutenant," Ortiz wheezed, "we're not walking out of this." Before Hale could even answer, the ground began to tremble. A low metallic vibration rolled through the canyon floor, slow at first, then heavier, deeper, undeniable. Harlan's eyes widened. "Sir, that's armor." A wall of dust rose at the end of the valley, thick, rolling, alive. And behind it, something massive pushed forward with deliberate predatory patience. The enemy fire stopped. The silence was worse than the bullets. Then the silhouette took shape. Heavy treads, sloped steel, a turret lowering directly toward the trapped SEAL team. Hale's breath froze in his chest. The tank ground to a halt. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then the hatch clicked, and slowly, someone began to climb out. Before we continue, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, because what happened next in that canyon was not in any briefing, and no one on Hale's team was prepared for it. The figure who climbed out of the enemy tank wasn't wearing insurgent rags. They were wearing U.S. armor crew fatigues. The SEALs froze, because the silhouette stepping onto the turret, small, compact, poised, moved like someone trained by the same flag they served. Dust swirled behind her as she planted her boots on the tank's turret, scanning the canyon with the posture of a professional soldier. Harlan whispered, voice trembling, "Sir, is that—" Hale didn't blink. It can't be. But it was. Lieutenant Aria Vega, former U.S. Army armor officer, killed in action, according to her death report. Body unrecovered after an ambush 12 months ago. Ortiz rasped, "I thought she died in Wardak." "Sir, that's impossible." Hale's heart hammered. When he'd trained with Vega years ago, she'd been the kind of soldier who could make a tank do things physics should have objected to. She had an instinct for terrain, for angles, for timing. The only woman in her armor battalion who could outdrive, outshoot, and outthink the men. More importantly, she'd been Hale's closest friend during selection, and now she was standing on top of a stolen enemy tank, as if resurrected. The turret shifted, grinding rock under its weight. Aria didn't raise a weapon. She didn't call out. She simply pointed, a sharp, decisive command toward the eastern ridge. The tank's main gun swiveled in the direction of her gesture. Hale grabbed Harlan's vest. "Move! Cover!" A half-second later, the tank fired. The shockwave punched the canyon walls open, shaking shale loose in sheets. A bunker-sized chunk of ridge disintegrated under the blast. A sniper position hidden beneath the rock collapsed, sending 2 shooters tumbling into the canyon. Harlan exhaled. Holy, she just saved us. But the shockwave wasn't over. The tank's secondary machine guns swept to life, firing short, controlled bursts, the kind that came from someone trained by Western doctrine, not the sloppy spray of insurgents. Aria wasn't joining the ambushers. She was killing them. Two more sniper teams fell, their hides exposed by the tank's devastating fire. Lewis stared up at the woman on the turret, baffled. "Sir, who the hell was she working with before she got here?" Hale didn't answer. The truth was twisting itself into a knot inside him. The after-action report from Wardak had been simple. Her entire convoy destroyed. She was declared KIA, end of story. So how was she standing here now, riding an enemy tank like she owned it? Another RPG streaked from the ridge opposite her. Aria reacted instantly. She dove off the turret, hit the side armor hard, and swung into the hatch like she'd done it 1,000 times. The machine gun turret slewed toward the RPG team, cutting them down before the next round could chamber. Hale swallowed hard. That wasn't an insurgent move. That was training, American training. The tank rumbled closer, the treads grinding the canyon floor under its steel weight. At 10 meters out, the front armor finally angled toward the pinned seals. The massive hull blocked sniper lines of fire, shielding Hale's team behind 30 tons of stolen steel. The hatch lifted again, and Aria Vega stepped out, hands empty, palms visible, face streaked with soot and adrenaline. Her voice carried across the canyon. "Lieutenant Hale, you look like hell." Hale's mouth was dry. "You died," Aria scoffed. "Apparently not well enough," Ortiz muttered. "Sir, I'm losing a lot of blood over here. Can we—" Aria jumped down, moved fast, and slid beside Ortiz with a medic's precision. "Stay awake, soldier. You're going home." Hale's thoughts spun. This made no sense. None. "Aria, what is this? How did you—" Her eyes snapped to him, sharp, controlled, deadly serious. "Not here. They're not done." As if summoned by her words, another burst of sniper fire cracked from the far ridge. Deeper, heavier, different rifles, different teams. Hale's stomach dropped. "Aria, how many shooters are hunting us?" Her jaw flexed. "A lot, more than you think, and they're not locals." Harlan surged forward. "Then who the hell are they?" Aria chambered around, checked her rifle, and answered without looking up. "Contractors, foreign, trained, paid well." She paused, "and ordered to make sure none of you walk out of this canyon." A silence hit the SEAL team so heavy it felt physical. Lewis whispered, throat tight, "But why us? Why today?" Aria's eyes met Hale's. "Because somebody inside the U.S. chain of command put a target on your team." Hale felt his chest tighten. "Who?" Aria didn't blink. "That's why I stole the tank." She pointed toward the western ridge. "And that's why they're coming." The ground trembled again, heavier this time. Not one tank. More treads, more armor, more men, dozens. Harlan cursed under his breath. "Sir, we're outnumbered, outgunned, and cut off." Aria shook her head. "Not outmaneuvered." She crouched beside a fallen slab of rock and began drawing in the dust, quick and precise, the way only someone who'd planned battles before could. Hale and the others leaned in, dust settling on their gear as gunfire echoed off the canyon walls. "They think you're trapped," Aria said. "They think the canyon is their fist and you're already inside it, but they built the kill zone wrong. Their assumptions are off." She pointed to a narrow rock chute branching off the canyon wall. "This climb leads to a high saddle overlooking the entire valley. It's ugly, it's steep, and it's hell on foot, but the tank can make it." Harlan blinked. "The tank? That thing weighs 30 tons. Aria didn't even look up. "You've never watched me drive." Hale studied the route. The saddle formed a natural balcony over the western basin, exactly where the enemy's armor and contractors were massing. If Aria reached that height, she'd have a firing angle no one below could survive. "They're expecting us to die down here," she said. "Instead, we're going to hit them from above." Lewis, still bleeding, rasped out a shaky laugh. "Ma'am, I'm starting to think we were safer before you got here." Aria kept drawing. "You were minutes from being wiped out. Now you've got a chance. But you have to move now." A fresh burst of sniper fire cracked down from the ridge, ricocheting off stone. Aria snapped her rifle up, exhaled once, and fired. A figure rolled off the ledge in a cloud of dust. Harlan stared. "How are you alive, Vega?" She hesitated. When she finally spoke, her voice was quieter. Wardak wasn't an ambush. It was an execution. Even the canyon seemed to still. "My convoy wasn't hit by insurgents," she said. "It was hit by the same contractors hunting you now. They wanted me gone because I saw something I wasn't supposed to see." Hale's throat tightened. "What did you see?" "Oh, American weapons, American money in enemy hands." She looked up at him. "And men willing to kill Americans to keep that pipeline alive," Lewis whispered. "Jesus, they killed everyone," Aria said. "Left me for dead. Locals dragged me out of the wreck and hid me. I healed, watched, followed the contractors, learned their routes, their patterns." Her eyes hardened. "And when I learned they were coming for you, I wired this valley with enough explosives to make God look twice." Hale stared at her, stunned. "You were planning to take them alone." Aria looked away, jaw clenched. "I wasn't planning to see any of you again." She stood and slung her rifle. "We're done talking. Move." The tank engine roared as Hale and Harlan helped Ortiz and Lewis up the chute. Aria reversed the stolen T-62 into position, then slammed it forward, climbing the gouged rock incline as if she'd rehearsed it 100 times. Enemy gunfire raked the canyon behind them. Aria leaned out of the hatch. "Get higher! Don't stop!" 3 contractors appeared on a ledge above, rifles raised. Before they could fire, Aria pivoted the turret and sent a cannon round straight into the rock. The entire ledge collapsed, taking the shooters with it. Lewis, half delirious, muttered, no way she's just a lieutenant." The tank clawed upward, finally reaching the saddle crest. And then the world opened. Below them sprawled the western valley, crowded with enemy armor, trucks, and contractor teams setting up heavy guns, mortars, machine gun nests, dozens of trained fighters, not insurgents, professionals. Hale felt the air leave his lungs. "Aria, this wasn't a hit team. This was a full strike force. They're preparing for something bigger," she said, "and they can't be allowed to leave this valley." She pulled out a black detonator from her vest. Hale stared at it. "You wired the whole slope." Aria pressed the trigger. The mountainside erupted, detonations ripping long fractures through the valley wall. A roaring avalanche tore downward, swallowing vehicles, crushing heavy guns, scattering the contractor teams into chaos. "Go!" Aria shouted. "Hit them while they're blind." The SEALs opened fire, suppressing fighters who scrambled through dust and debris. Enemy tanks roared forward through smoke. 2 angled their turrets upward toward the saddle. Aria dove into the hatch. "Get down!" The stolen tank surged forward and fired first. Her round hit the leading enemy tank low on the hull, penetrating straight through in a fireball. The second tank fired back, but Aria angled her armor just right. The shell ricocheted, screaming away into the cliffs. She fired again. The enemy turret blew off in a burst of flame and steel. Contractors fled, abandoning mortars, trucks, equipment. Aria drove through them like a surgeon with steel and fire, each shot precise, measured, devastating. 10 minutes later, the valley was silent, except for burning metal. Hale approached as Aria climbed out of the hatch, smoke rising behind her like a black halo. "You saved all of us," he said quietly. Aria wiped dust from her face. "I didn't save you. I stopped a war someone was trying to start." Her eyes drifted toward the ridge. "And now comes the part they didn't plan for." Harlan frowned. "What part is that?" "The part where we're alive." She paused. "And they can't let that happen." Hale stepped closer. "Aria, what happens now?" Her tone softened, but her eyes stayed sharp. "Now we figure out who ordered this hit, and then we take the fight to them." She turned away, scanning the canyon one more time. "Because the people who tried to kill you today aren't done. They'll come again. And next time, they'll bring more than tanks." Hale nodded slowly. "Then we'll be ready." Aria looked back at him. "That's why you're going to need me." A beat of silence passed between them, heavy, dangerous, undeniable. Lewis finally broke it with a groan. So, extraction? Like, soon? Harlan laughed shakily. Brother, after what she just did, extraction's coming whether command sent it or not. Aria rested her rifle across her chest, scanning the smoke-filled valley. This isn't over, she said. This was the beginning. Her eyes fixed on Hale. You with me? He didn't hesitate. Always. If this story pulled you in, hit like so more people find it, and subscribe to MindFront for more cinematic military thrillers we build together. Your support keeps these stories alive.